Can you hear me?
I can now.
Yay. Oh, I can see you very nicely now. I can't see Raymondo. Is he not on yet?
No, he's still messing with technical stuff. He's right over there.
Okay. Oh, he's over yonder. Oh, I see the empty seat. Durr. I see the empty seat.
Better mute that or it's going to feed back again.
How come I can't deal with my... I can't hear you very well. My volume sucks ass. Hang on a
I'm
second.
on a different mic and yeah, hold on a sec.
I was going to try my microphone, but I think it would get in the way. So I didn't. I had it turned down.
Can you hear me any better?
Yeah. A little bit, but that's only because I turned all my volume up, my audio.
Technical. We're live everywhere.
You know, your sentence fades at the end, Glaze.
Really?
Yeah, when you're saying something at the end, it'll fade right like that to nothing.
That's not good.
No, something's weird. So say something that and then stop.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
That's good. Didn't fade that time. Yeah. I think it's having a hard time dealing with the level coming at it. I think it overcompensates. It sounds like I can hear it.
Hold on. Is that any better?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to leave it at that and then I'm going to switch with my microphone later. Okay. So in case anybody's watching right now, hi everybody. Rob, we are streaming right now and we're going to do this little thing, this little back and forth thing.
Good.
With people watching.
Okay. We got a bunch of tech stuff coming up that's going to change anyway, so what the hey, right?
Well, I'm going to move over so that Ray Bailey can get in frame a little bit better.
There we go.
I know, because I'm just going to end up yelling at him if you don't get it done now.
Well, so see, we don't have to worry about that now because we're not on Skippy anymore. We're on. I need makeup. Oh, it's over here. We're not on Skype anymore.
We're not.
We're on this.
We're now on MMG Indie channel.
Okay.
Broadcasting to 32 social media platforms.
Broadcasting live to all 50 states.
We are
all 50 states.
We are live on Facebook. We are live on Twitch. We are live on Periscope. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Twitter. We are live everywhere.
Right now.
All right.
Yeah. So this is the crap that nobody actually ever gets to see. So sorry, I didn't get a chance to. Yeah, nobody got a topic until like. When did I?
5:30.
When did I text you? And I was like,
yeah, but it's a good one though. I think it's going to be good. I like it.
It couldn't load.
Really?
No, it's just doing that.
No shit.
Over and over.
Okay, so no chat. That's fine.
No.
So we can't actually see you guys chatting. So.
Which blows.
I know, unless you want to open Restream and look at it from there.
Honestly, though, guys, we're not going to be able to talk to you.
We're very busy doing stuff.
We're busy authors.
I'm gonna get my soda.
Damn it. We're so busy. This is the crap, the absolute fuckery that nobody ever gets to see. Jesus.
No, we're not. You're not really. Why? Oh, you're live, but you're not recording for the.
We are live. People can watch us.
Okay, good. There's nothing. I don't want to waste time. If we can make fools of ourselves immediately, I want to get started.
That's what we're doing. It's just we're working out the technical difficulties with people watching.
No, we're good. We're live. We're good. Let's go.
Oh my God, Microsoft. Okay. Really?
So the top of Ray's head just got chopped off. Can you do anything about that?
We can. There we go.
There we go.
I gotta move you down a little.
Looks
bit.
like we're going to strangle Glaze or chop the top of Peaky Blinders' brains off.
A little bit more.
Nobody needs to see my pompadour.
It's stylish. It looks okay.
Blinders.
Okay, there we go.
All right, there we are, live in frame.
And not in focus. There we go.
No, it'll focus. Give it a second.
Okay.
So, I thought it was just me. I was like, I was drunk or something.
What are we talking about?
Stuff.
We've got collaboration with other authors. The thing that I was incredibly nervous about that Ray Bailey can attest to because he and I had a conversation, like
Correct.
First conversation we ever had.
Which one?
The first one.
How many first ones are there?
I don't know.
He
I
started
forget.
asking all of these questions about what I was working on, and I was like,
Yes.
I was like, I don't know if I want to tell about what I'm working on. I mean, I'm a very suspicious person anyway, but I mean, like, let's start there, right? And we'll get into the collaboration thing afterwards. Let's get into things like intellectual property,
We
but
now
before it is.
are getting people to start watching. So hello, everybody. People are
Hi.
just starting to join us. Those of you who did not hear it yet, we are now broadcasting to 32 platforms live as we speak using the Troublemaker Indie channel. So welcome. This will also be available as the podcast normally is tomorrow evening.
Sunday, the 29th.
The 29th. Aside from that, welcome to our live show. So you get to see all the crap in the background with our technical difficulties and everything else.
And now we're going to start doing real stuff. And
Yep.
so if you missed the bullshittery, ooh, that's a new one.
Bullshittery.
Like
Good.
If you missed the bullshittery, then
Hi,
next
Donna.
week you need to come and attend before 8 so that you can see the bullshittery
Yes, we do.
live. Because
Hey,
you're watching this recording, sorry, you lose.
He left again. Tilt it, turn the camera to aim it to your right a little, because when he's not in all the way, but his chair is kind of there.
Hi, Donna. Hi, Ashley.
Donna and Ashley are on. Ashley Greathouse has a podcast, and Donna Kelly Co is
Yes.
a super fan.
Now we can see the chat windows. We just
But we
want.
I
can't
recognize
chat.
those names
We're
now.
gonna
How
do
weird.
the actual podcast now, Ray.
Let's
Yes,
go.
ma'am. I know we're podcasting.
There we go.
We're just saying hi. So,
Okay.
go ahead.
So let's start with the whole author code thing, right?
The bro code.
The bro code, right?
That's right. The bro code. The author
How would that go? Like,
bros before hoes. Would that
whips
be
before
adjectives
chicks?
before nouns? What would that- Whips before chips. There you go. Whips before chicks. Self-denial before self-loathing. There you go. That's the author code.
oh man, yeah. No, I personally, let's start with an anecdote. I was crazy nervous about the first time I talked to an author about work that I was currently doing, where the author in question,
You talk to authors? That is so cool.
occasionally, where the author in question was like, what's going on with this exact thing in your work? I was like, gee, Ray, I don't think I want to tell you that.
She totally did.
It was Ray.
Cool.
And I was like, ugh. I
Totally.
wasn't even really very subtle about it. I don't
No.
think. I was pretty much like,
She was mean.
I wasn't nice.
She was mean.
But the reason is because I was nervous. I was like, I don't know this guy. Yeah, he's an author, but like, I have this stuff and it's not published. It's just ideas. It's mine. So what do you do? What do you do with that? Implied copyright in the United States is very, very strong. If you write something down, it is immediately, by implication, copywritten to you, even without it being registered or actually published. You own it, and you can take that to court, and if you can prove that you have the original file, then that you'll win damages. But when you're talking about ideas, when you're talking about, like perspective whips, when you're talking about, like outlines and stuff like that, like, I don't think that implied copyright includes
No.
outlines.
Plus, you can change things if you just give somebody an idea that they can then launch themselves. Just be very careful with your ideas.
Yeah. So like, what do you think, Rob? I mean, like, how do you usually treat your baby works in progress when they're just ideas? Do you keep them like really close to the vest, or?
Nope. I document it all. And I save them in 2 or 3 different places for that very purpose.
Also, it's a good idea to email them to yourself. So you have a
Yep. And it's there's a timestamp that's available on any document. I don't care what platform it comes from. You can establish very easily that you had this idea on that date, and unless their idea predates it, they're screwed.
Right.
So that is why I keep lots and lots of them. Outlines included.
Slope, yeah.
Yeah, but see, I mean, like, it's really not that easy. Like, let's say I have an idea for a protagonist decides to build a single person canoe out of banana leaves and go down the Amazon River. And somebody goes, "Oh man,
It's very generic.
that's a really cool idea. I'm gonna make that protagonist a dude." and I'm going to write that book. And you don't have anything really written down except, you know, banana leaf canoe in the Amazon.
If you have it written down electronically, it counts. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Your
Yeah, no, I
concept,
understand,
because
but
here's the differential. What you don't have to do is roll out a shit ton of disclaimers or claims.
Mhm.
And that, because the timestamp
Right.
is everything that you need, because at the end of it, if it's not perfectly wonderfully evident, then it is it moves then to intent and arguability, which is still on your side because of the precedent by timestamp. You can establish a date, and if they stole that idea, it becomes an argument. It's a he said, she said. We hear it every once. We used to hear it a lot in the 70s and the 80s in the music industry. There was a pissing contest between Foghat and Aerosmith because of their two songs were almost identical. And then they had to go to court to say, you didn't write it, and neither did I. This guy wrote it in 1954, so bite me. But there was an argument as to who could claim that progression of chords and notes, and as it turns out, none of them could. Neither of them could, and they had to go home. There was no case. But you're going to a different place when you're talking about something that lives inside your head. This is the well of creativity. This is the place that no one can invade. However, it's not something that you can timestamp either.
Mhm.
So with that in mind, to me, it's I don't want the fist fight with someone, but I have to remember there are things that we do. Ray and I in sci-fi, Glace, you do this in the bizarre, I don't even know what to call it, genre.
The bizarre world of whatever she writes.
Paranormal, yeah, exactly.
I don't like to call it paranormal either, because
I know, but we went down that path a long time ago. But here's my point: it is utterly impossible for someone not to have somewhere thought, you know, I'm going to have a character who's in the Amazon, and it doesn't collide necessarily with your story. Where does your story go? This is the cautionary note that I want to make clear. Your guy in his rubber canoe, I'm sorry, rubber leaf, or what did you call it? It was some
banana leaf canoe.
Banana canoe.
So he made a canoe out of banana leaves, which is okay. I don't even know how the hell he did that, but okay, if he did, okay. But somebody else's canoe guy going down the Amazon, there is no possibility that they're going to be able to duplicate your storyline. It's from
that basic idea. But it's also the same where you have to remember, if you write down an idea that you're writing a story about a child and his dog, don't try to copyright fight that, because that's not going to work.
Correct.
Now, story ideas have to be fairly a little more specific than that, and certain key changes will change the story, which means that a copyright suit would not be applicable. So it's really on a feel at that point. And really, I would consult a lawyer. But yeah, keep your ideas. If you've got a well fleshed out idea, you know what? You can share a general idea of it or a general concept, but don't like hand somebody a copy of your whip if it's not published. Not that they'd be able to use it, but it's usually a pretty good rule of thumb.
So that's an interesting segue to Glace's idea for the topic today. And I'm cautious about handing anything over to anyone. I don't mind discussing in general terms. Handing them a whip, work in progress, ain't going to happen.
We're not on the inside. WIP, whip, work in progress.
Never going to hand anyone a work in progress. Not even going to hand them an outline. I can talk about it all I want. In desperate conditions, I can rely on the timestamp. But with that paranoia and Glace's earlier mentioned suspicion, what happens when someone says, we should collaborate? I think we could marry these two stories together and have a killer. And right now, Glace is going up yours, pal. I'm not going anywhere near that. Which is, I've never been approached to do a collaborative work. So what I'm speaking from supposition and ignorance. I got asked to ghost a book once and ran away screaming. No,
yeah, don't. That's a whole ghostwriting thing.
We were talking about that earlier too.
Yeah. So which is kind of a bizarre cousin to where we're going with this.
It is.
But
Ghostwriting is definitely a bizarre cousin.
We get into some irrational, weird author bizarre eccentricities where collaborative efforts are concerned, particularly by someone you don't know. Is there a differentiation if you know somebody really well? I think probably I wouldn't have any problem if either of you lunatics suggested a collaborative work.
Well, I mean, I wanted to collaborate on a book with her, but apparently she only works with people with talent. So
see that lets us out right now.
Yeah, I know. Pretty much.
Kind of unfair, but
So let me put this in here, okay?
Go ahead.
I actually do collaborate with somebody. I know you're sitting over there going, but it's in a different way. So I'm gonna put this in here, and then I want to go back to the whole actually writing together thing. I have someone else's work in my work. Every single one of my books starts with a poem. And it's an excerpt from a poem. It's written by a friend of mine named Leishan Veris. He has a poem in the beginning of every single one of my books. He will have a poem in the beginning of every single one of the books from here until the Clockmaker series is done. Not the other ones, but within the Clockmaker. Yeah.
That's absolutely not collaborative, though. That's works made for hire.
It's kind of a little bit work for hire, I guess.
It is. That's all it can be. You like that stuff and you incorporate it, and good for you, good for him. But that's not the same thing as let's get together and create a poem.
Well, see, that's where we're going with this, and that's why I bring it up, because for Hawthorne, I actually gave him the outline of the idea of the book verbally. I was like, okay, this is kind of what the whole thing is about. Like, can you do something for that? And he was like,
made for hire.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I don't pay him for his work.
Well, I mean, I'm using the term colloquial. I don't mean that there's money exchanging hands, but when you're getting a piece of part of somebody's stuff to incorporate into yours, that's an existing finite bit that goes into your work. Yeah. That's not the same thing as collaborating.
Ray has a question from Lua Powell. Lua
Powell texts us a question.
Yeah, she asks on the Fache book, what about beta readers and critique partners? Would you trust them with your WIP?
And that's a very good question.
That's an excellent question.
Beta readers aren't necessarily authors. I mean, and you're asking.
That's kind of the thing, is that with an author, you're kind of worried about them, perhaps. The concern there is that they're going to hork your work.
Now, most of the time, your beta readers are probably getting a copy of your book when it's mostly finished. That means you've written it. You have the electronically signed copy somewhere with a date on it. So I'm not worried about them taking your book. I mean, at that point, you're asking them for opinions on your work.
Yeah.
Usually your beta readers are trusted, either people you know or people you develop relationships with who are part of a group. Critique partners are the same thing. These aren't strangers. These are people you know. And again, you're handing out either pieces or a story that you have fleshed out.
Well, I mean, you and I hand work back and forth.
Yes.
I mean, I'll write something and, be like, what do you think about this? He'll do something and he'll be like, what do you think about this scene? And the reason is because we know that each of us is going to be honest.
Yeah, of course.
With each other. Rob, you and I have done the same thing.
Yes, we have.
Some of my stuff, I've read some of your stuff. Same thing. It's like that whole be gentle, but give it to me straight.
Correct.
Right.
It's a value. Now, so remember, though, when we do that, that's valuable as hell, going both directions. It's really interesting. You love to read these are my AIC cohorts. I want to read their stuff. That's for my enjoyment. True enough. But I understand there's an expectation that when I reply to them as an author, as a reader, they're not asking me to blow smoke up their ass. They're asking me to tell them what they think. That really is valuable. But there's also, I never have to wonder or worry. I could send either of you a full an outline of my next book and not bat an eye, because I know the care that either of you would take with it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a different deal. You're kind of, we're sort of family now. I don't even think about that. Someone that is maybe in the writer community Fache book world says, I've read some of your stuff and I think it would be really cool if we collaborated on go with the red flags right now. I don't
And
know
that's-
shit
that's-
about
yeah,
you.
I mean-
that isn't going to happen. That is, I put the brakes on maybe harder than Glaze does at that.
Well, I mean, collaboration is beyond tough. It's not only you're sharing your work or you're sharing a book or a manuscript with somebody, but you got to make sure their writing style meshes, their idea of the story meshes. How are you going to divide that out chapter by chapter? Are they going to write a character? You're going to write a character? I mean, there's so many different ways that it can go sideways. So you really need to lay out a ground rule set. You really need to make sure you respect and trust the person you're writing with. And more importantly, you got to make sure your styles match, because if they don't, it's going to confuse it'll confuse the reader. Because if you're doing third person omniscient and they're doing first person limited, that's not a story I want to read.
And because someone admires your stuff or you admire theirs is not a good enough reason to collaborate. That's really what Ray's saying. Look, there are technical bits and pieces that are nothing whatever to do with the style or the voice. You can screw this up beautifully with the best of intentions for that reason alone. The styles have to blend, they have to mesh and really complement each other. That's probably harder to do and doesn't happen successfully anywhere near as often as you might think.
Yeah, I often wonder how that works, because you do see, some big players, out there. Wasn't there like a fantasy series that was written by two people at the same time, and I can't remember?
Well,
Weiss and...
no, there was also Good Omens, which was Pratchett and crap, I can't remember his name now, because it's really, I can't believe I can't remember his name, but it was just on Amazon Prime. And somebody's going to type it in here at some point and
hopefully
show me.
They will. They'll say
yeah, but it was, I mean, there have been some really good collaborations between some really good authors, usually earlier on in their career. So it can work. It does. Peter Straub, Stephen King, they did it, God, and it was phenomenal. So it absolutely, and one's a horror writer and one writes ghost stories. So
that works though.
Yeah, but the book really worked well. The point being is there is collaborations. If you find somebody that you respect and you like their writing, you can collaborate with them. It can be fun. It can take an idea and send it into the stratosphere. Because remember, we all pigeonhole on our ideas. We rabbit hole on what if this and what if this. Now it's somebody else with a whole new set of ideas. Your story can completely change, and not necessarily badly.
I had someone
real benefit to it.
I had an interesting conversation with a person who's read everything I ever wrote. Very flattering. It's very nice to hear. But this particular individual wondered if, this was a long way back. I wish I would have had the brains to write down the conversation, but it was immaterial to me because of this very reason. Collaborative work has never been interesting to me. But he wondered if a collaboration work might be more effective or more genuine if separate characters were written by the collaborators.
Yeah, that was one of the things.
And that's
he just
a possible way to do it. That's a way to maintain continuity. I mean, I've always thought chapter by chapter would be interesting because it can take the story in interesting ways. If you write a chapter and they've got the chapter set, then they can go some way on it and you've got to catch up and do something with it. So the book is developing using two people, but the story isn't necessarily linear at that point. All you have is notes.
It's kind of like a choose your own adventure.
It's kind of like a choose your own adventure at that point. Not only are they writing the character, but they're also writing the entire environment of that character at the moment. One of the issues you have with character continuity is they're writing in your world and you're writing in their world, so to speak. You know, the continuity can be more difficult to do.
Yep, not an easy trick.
Exactly.
Uh-oh.
Can you imagine writing like a dual MC third person limited, rotating between the two, and having like an end that you both writers know their MC is trying to get to, but not talking to the other writer.
Oh, that's interesting. It'd be like, I mean, honestly,
it would be like real life.
It'd be like taking your book and you write Lark and I write David, or you take Sleep and you write Corliss and I write Marcus, or and
like having like an end that the same two characters are trying to get to, but they have no idea what's going on in the other character's head, and you're like sort of writing over the top of it. God, that would be a fun writing experiment.
You can set some fun ground rules with collaboration, something that'll really
we've got to get back on track here. We're gonna rabbit hole hardcore.
There we go. That didn't take long.
Creative muscles. So there are some benefits to collaboration. There are some drawbacks.
Oh, we could do a
Each-
threesome.
Oh my God. Okay, one person take the world. You take a character, I'll take a character, and we'll figure out the end as we go along. There you go. But I mean, there are some benefits, there are some drawbacks. Each person needs to decide for themselves whether or not it's worth it. Collaboratively with the right person, it could be a gold mine.
Yeah.
Collaboratively with the wrong person, it could be a disaster.
Oh yeah, not only could it be a terrible book, you could completely end the relationship.
Oh
with the
yeah, you
person.
could. Oh
You could
God,
just
think about it.
absolutely fuck up a professional contact,
Yeah.
and then that we all know networking explosions are a really bad
And,
thing.
Not good.
Best piece I ever got, best piece of advice I ever got from somebody was, if you're going to collaborate with somebody,
Don't.
write write 1,000-word short story. You both actually write a short story. Take the same idea
Mm.
and
Yeah,
each
yeah.
person write it. Then the other person grabs it and they read it. You know, get an idea of how they write, understand what they
Yeah.
think, their concept. That's going to let you know if you're going to mesh. If those two stories are completely diametrically different, you're going to have to set some real ground rules before you collaborate. If they look fairly decently similar, they go off in different directions, that's a pretty good collaboration.
So
it really-
if something isn't patently obvious to two creative people, that you don't reach the same conclusion and say, wow, we should collaborate on this almost out of the gate as one voice, it's probably riskier than it needs to be.
yes.
And I would say that's more often than not, that's a rare approach to it.
Well,
It sounds kind of schizophrenic, but
it would have to be a very special project for me to do a
Yeah.
collaboration. I've got so many, between the books I'm working on, the 3 right now that are consecutively set, and then the ideas I have for the plan stacking forward the next 2 years, it would have to be something phenomenal for me to clear the board.
Yeah.
It really would. So, I mean, that's, each author is different, but most of us are drowning in work. We got so much
Yeah.
stuff we want to write.
Yeah, absolutely drowning in ideas.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
that's what it comes down to. It's got to be something you're really passionate about. If you're not passionate about it, don't write it.
Yeah, well, you have to be. Yeah, it's the person and the project
Yeah.
and
I
the
mean,
work. You know, you have to get along with the person.
Yes.
You have to have you know, a similar vision of execution for the project, and your styles have to.
Yeah,
have to
pretty
match.
much.
just the
Otherwise-
writing process between two people can be spectacularly different. Are you willing to sit chained at the hip to this person for the length of time it takes to write a book? It
right,
is-
which a lot of times is longer than a great many, you know,
yeah.
relationships. I mean, a lot of people break up before they've been together for like a year. And I imagine that a collaborative project where you're having to hand shit back and forth to somebody is not going to go as quickly as a regular manuscript. So getting something
would-
from the first word to
Yeah.
the button push of publish, I imagine that would take a year of,
At least.
collaboration.
Yeah.
If you were
Yes.
doing a full-fledged 100,000 word manuscript,
Take a long time to do.
to do that right, like
So
not
there's
just
a
playing around.
what do we say to people who are watching and they say to themselves, or they might crank up on your screen, give me a reason to do this at all. Why in the world would I break from my creative and production schedule to go down this really razor blade lined hallway that is more likely going to end with goof up than it will with success? What is in
Oh.
it for me? Why should I collaborate? Why should I do it at all?
Creatively, it expands your creativity. No one comes at the same idea the same way. I mean, it's going to bring an entirely different slant on whatever story concept you have. There is some really good benefit to it, but as I said, either major ground rules or somebody you know you can work with. That's really the
Yeah,
tough
the-
one.
endemic understanding, that to me, that was what I meant. If you're with somebody and you're both writing and you admire each other's stuff, or you connect with it and you see that would enhance how I do this. Maybe I would enhance how you know it right away. I think what I was trying to say was that people who do collaborative work, rare though it may be, they know good and damn well that it would work.
I know one benefit. It's one of the reasons that I actually really like collaborating and joining forces with other authors in non wordsmithing ways.
non-wordsmithing ways.
You know,
That's a good one.
Like what?
Non-words.
Like backgammon?
yes.
What the hell are you gonna do?
Yes. What's the thing with like shooting
Get-
skeet?
Get drunk and
Shooting skeet?
talk crap about your whip? What?
Okay, I didn't know we are going to start trap shooting, but okay.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think we should give any author a gun.
Okay.
No.
So the benefit is the sharing of fan base.
Yes, the cross-pollination of fan base
You are
is an advantage.
cross-pollinating in
Yes.
terms of fan base. So if you have yours, they have theirs, and then you go, and suddenly you have potentially picked some of their fans up for your own solo work.
So this sounds like some kind of bizarre Renaissance gig to me. There's the Medicis and the Rat Baggios, and they've been at war for a long time. And so what do? We go get one kid from one family, one kid from another, and we force them into a marriage, and that ends the wars. And while we're at it, we're going to get a bunch of revenue from that family's stuff. And so that's, it's commercially wise. It sounds a little harsh and not so creativity friendly.
Well, I mean, it's
other
really,
artists do it all the time. Look at.
No, I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying that it's kind of.
That's good.
I don't know. All right. Okay.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. Nancy Blakely Henderson says building an extended tribe.
Building an extended, but that also, remember, we're talking, you start getting into genres that are conflicting or not the same. That can also be oil and water too. So you really need to ensure whatever you're doing is going to bridge that gap. But yeah, building an extended tribe, cross-pollinating your fan base, building a bigger fan base for yourself because they're being exposed to you, and meanwhile your fans are being exposed to the other person.
That's right. Yeah.
Remember, guys, we're all authors, and there are so many people. You know, you're not going to have a fan base that doesn't read other things. So by doing this, you're helping not only another author but yourself as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Would we consider this a high risk, high reward venture?
Well, I mean, would this be the same thing as a short story collection? Which no, you're not. It's a less risk, same reward. You know, you get 10 authors who run a short story collection, and people start buying, then you're cross-pollinating 10 fans. That's the reason.
I'm a lot more comfortable with
most authors
collection.
Different.
Absolutely.
Doing like an anthology with
I could join with other authors and contribute to a collection. That makes me a lot more comfortable than
but that's not really what I'm talking about.
That's not collaboration at all. That is purely commercial.
Well, I mean, let's talk. What are some of the base rules we can think of if you want to collaborate with another author? I mean, come on, you're an author, you're out there, you're thinking about collaborating with somebody. How do you lay that out? What is the best way to lay that out? I mean, the rules are always going to be guidelines, but there you go.
The number one rule that is a non-negotiable. These two people have got to
get along.
They got to be able to communicate.
Yeah, that's a big one.
They got to be able to communicate, even if they don't especially if they don't necessarily get along. Communication can get you a lot.
Well, and this, I would honestly set the basic guidelines of the book, the POV, the world. Just set some basic guidelines so at least you're uniform across the board. You know, you don't.
Be nice to. An adjunct to rule number 1A would be, although it ain't easy for authors to do because we're really neurotic shits from beginning to end, I would say check your ego at the door. You need to broaden and be patient and be accepting of things that you otherwise wouldn't. Because the goodness,
it can be caustic, man. If you get two authors working together and they don't like each other's work, that's going to be devastating for both people.
Well, I mean, that's not really something that would ever get off the ground, though. No.
How about how do you gauge that? A trial run. I like Ray's idea. Everybody, you have two identical concepts. Go off in your corners and write 1,000 pages from beginning to end to that concept.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Did I say
1,000 pages? There you go. Go ahead and write 1,000-page short story.
Go right word.
I'll wait. Yeah, I know. We'll wait. So I'm sure we'll all here wait while you write 1,000 pages. Go ahead. And go.
Now you have two images that couldn't be more disparate. They may be complementary. You're going to know right away.
You're going to get an idea if you.
That's a really good idea. If you're considering collaborating, or if someone asks for a collaborative effort, that is a great place to start. It establishes the voice, how different is the voice? Are they complementary, or do they collide? That's a good
Well,
point.
more importantly, one of the biggest tests you do by that is you're giving them a story. You're giving somebody an idea and going, make this work. The same thing you would do in collaboration. It's easy to make your own stuff work. You've thought about it. You spent years doing it in your head, playing it out. No, we're going to take an idea that we're giving you right now, and you've got to write a short story
A
about it.
writer prompt.
Can you actually deliver? Can you write something that you are unfamiliar with? Can you write something that's not necessarily your idea? These are big deals.
Yeah,
Because
they
this is
are.
exactly what you do when you collaborate.
Yeah, you don't know.
Now there's a good, the good news is that most of us who run into the buzzsaw, otherwise called an editor,
Oh, yes.
we have to do a little bit of I mean, we're already predisposed to this. And
Yes.
to be fair, you know how much I hate editors. I hate them all. Not
Second
as
only
much
to
as I
agents.
hate, I
Second
don't hate
only
them as
to
much
agents.
as I hate agents, true. But there are times when I'll get something back from an editor and I look and go, shit, I like that better. And I don't fight it. When it's better, it's better. That's look for the benefit to change. Don't assume that it's shit because you didn't think of it. Somebody else thought of it. It might be better. Look with open ears and open mind. That
No,
helps
you're right.
in collaborating. That would be an essential to me.
Yes. In collaborating, that would be an absolute essential.
It's like that little guy who's
Yeah.
sticking out of the other guy's stomach from Total Recall.
Total Recall.
Open
Yeah.
your balls.
Cohagen. Yeah.
Cohagen.
But yeah, honestly, I mean, that's what it comes down to. Come up with a base set of ground rules you can work with somebody in. Dictate the POV, some basic information. Decide how you're going to work together. You're working on this character, or you're working on this chapter, or you're working on this piece of the story. You know, there's all kinds of ways you can work together. You two need to come together and feel that out.
Yep.
But as long as you can work together, you can communicate, you like each other's work, and that fan base is going to be advantageous. Even if the fan base isn't, it might be fun just for the other three. You're going to have fun.
Sidebar to that.
Sidebar.
And another rule.
Oh, sidebar and a rule.
A fun, we've talked about doing like the switching POVs and like this person does this or like blah, 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 blah. Wouldn't it be fun? Like if you had somebody who is like really, really strong at doing the sequence of storytelling sort of thing, and somebody else that was a lot more measured and like good at sort of like the artistic prose sort of stuff. Having one person go, this is how things goes, da 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 da, and then having the other person come back in and like fill things out.
So the first person comes in, frames and hangs the drywall, and the second person comes in and paints. Okay, that may be a way to do it. I mean, that's one way.
Director actor sort of a relationship.
Yes, absolutely.
You get the story laid out, and then you get the
playwright and the actor. That's what it is.
Yeah,
the playwright and the actor. This is what you're supposed to do.
So
and I'm going to interpret it now.
That lends itself to Ray's original thought that there is benefit. There's gold here when this stuff works. And so it answers my horrible question, because I was shit disturbing, as you know. There is reason to do this. That's the point.
Sure, why not? So, my other rule.
How many rules do you have? We
already 500 rules. There's a book over here about
I'm gonna forget it.
2.5 feet tall with rules.
It's not necessarily a rule. It's something that I would want to pay attention to. It's something I would want to examine.
Okay, guideline.
Yeah, it's more of a guideline than
a guideline than a rule.
Anyway, damn it, you're gonna make me forget.
What else do we run besides witches?
Whoa, witches!
Whoa, witches!
A great gravy.
Wood.
Very small pebbles.
There's small rocks. I got better.
All right.
How do you know she's a witch?
All right.
Sorry. God,
go ahead.
It's not my nose. It's a false one.
Help. It comes to the violence inherent in the system. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, there's some lovely filth down here.
Before we actually quote the entire movie.
Yeah, that's it. Go. Stop right now. Glaze, get back to your, come on.
Yeah,
guideline.
Okay. I would want to examine, look at with careful purpose where you are in terms of your career in relationship to the other person.
Ooh, that's a good point. Newbie and an ancient.
Examined. Because if you're old and cynical and bitter,
Well, I'm somewhere between professional self-loathing and somewhere between professional self-denial. So yeah,
Self-loathing, self-denial.
loathing and denial. That's right.
I mean, like all of us are, we've got our books out.
Oh, yes.
None of us are old hats at this
We've
sort of
we've
thing,
all got multiple books out. Each of us at least has 3 currently, with more on the way. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Rob's the one who's got the most.
Rob's got the
most
right
time in
now.
service.
That's right. Most,
That's it.
time and grade.
Yeah, time and
yeah.
grade.
Most time and grade.
I got passed over again and again.
There you go.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Oh, well, okay. So
Yeah, somebody who's had 20 books out, and this is just sort of
Yes.
like, there's a definite way of doing things. They have a very complete sense of how the industry works. Is probably not going to mesh well unless they're a certain type of personality, of course, with
it almost
someone who is
Oh,
a
you're right.
virgin,
somebody who's a virgin.
you don't want to artificially introduce a superior inferior relationship.
No, I mean, come on,
That
that's
too,
true.
yeah.
Because if you've got established author with multiple books out who is building his own fan base, and you've got a guy who's brand new, that's not really. I mean, come on, that's kind of
Yeah.
off, isn't it? I mean, that's not really. One person's getting a lot out of it, the other person's almost getting nothing at that point.
Yeah,
You're basically investing in that first author's future.
agreed.
That's the plan right there, literally.
Okay.
100%.
Well, Glace's rules are okay so far. The hell with it. I'll stipulate.
Yeah,
Well, I forgot what my other one was.
something
Ah,
about
you had a thumb rule. The rule
thumb
was
rule.
always
Oh,
use.
communication and,
That's right.
auditing where you are in your
Yes.
career. Yeah.
auditing. I like that.
But
Yeah,
that's
auditing
all
and-
of that is under the umbrella of compatibility,
Yes,
which is you
correct.
have to test the waters to see.
Yeah,
how
but I
really
mean, like,
that's gonna
I'm a
go.
firm believer that you don't actually have to like a person in order to work with them.
I don't like anybody, so it works.
And,
you go.
we work
Yeah,
okay.
pretty much.
No,
Three of us. Nobody
hate
likes
everybody.
each other
Yeah,
here.
I know. We just hate each other.
professional respect and admiration can trump inside likes and dislikes to a point. If you're, if you were in a cabin in the Adirondacks and nobody would let you come down the hill until you finished the book, that might be a problem.
How is that a bad
But-
thing?
I might not ever finish the book.
Yeah,
just so
I would.
can
I would
stay.
literally never.
Just hang out in the Adirondacks. I know. Yeah, I want to go to the Adirondacks and hang out too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go get the
Well-
writer cabin.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like that. That was good.
Yeah.
We were sorry for the delay. I
It's
it
all
was
your
right-
fault, Rob.
No, it's your fault because
your fault.
you turned the first invite invalid and the software ridiculed me and I
It
had
did
no
like
one to
you, so you had to
blame.
go beat it up. I get it.
But-
You need a new computer. I need to go get a new computer. The old one's hated me.
So can you send to this Zoom from now? Because I have a Zoom.
Yes.
Can you send to the my ID or what do I have to do? So you can go. So all I have.
Yeah. We'll do that. We'll get offline and do that. Yeah.
All right,
you
all
can just send it to your ID. That
Cool.
makes life easier.
In case anybody else hadn't caught on who's watching live, we're done with the podcast now.
Oh,
And
sorry.
so-
I
Oh
should've-
shit.
Done. We're done with the. Okay.
We're
Yes.
done
that
with it.
concludes
We-
our.
Had
That,
enough.
12 or 17 seconds ago is where Ray would have done his artistic. We're still talking, but we're gonna fade out and we're gonna go
Oh
to
yeah, I
the
would have done
drum
the
music.
outro. This
Yeah,
is if you're gonna catch it on video, the outro's
this
playing
is the
right
shit
now.
that we continue to talk about after.
So the
outro.
throat
I hate
the
you all.
throat
I'm
guy
gonna go
from
cry.
Mongolia is singing right now, Ray. Is that what you're
The
saying?
Who.
That's right. The Who.
The Who, yeah.
HU, those
I like that stuff. I love that
Dude,
stuff.
yeah, it makes you want to go kill a lamb and eat it.
Now I want to drag it
You know-
behind my little tiny horses. I'm shooting at you with them an
That's
AK-47.
exactly what it
There you
is. It's
go.
probably
Doesn't
more like
move.
milking a horse.
It's actually
That's what they do.
no. The
Yeah.
intro outro song is Mongolian metal. That's
It is
actually
Mongolian
what it
death
is.
metal.
I love that stuff.
Mongolian death metal.
And-
Don't ask what it means, but it sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty bad.
Okay, I've got another Mongolian band I want to send to you, and you can rip them off too. I like.
more
There's a shit ton of them.
Mongolian
There's like
people.
12
You can
people.
never
in this.
have too much Mongolian music.
No, I love
That's
it.
the coolest instrument.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No,
the
they
East has cool instruments. Matt, serious.
Well, they're twangy, boing, boing. I mean, the
Their
kotos
strings
are cool,
I love
kotos
their
are cool.
Fair
string
enough. Their
instruments.
strings
They're
are cool.
but a single string instrument ain't cool, Glaze. Let's face
By
it.
the way,
You try and play
anybody
it.
who's listening, since we're doing our whole BSN trip now, if you've got any questions, go
Hi,
ahead and
Lynette.
ask. Yes, hi, Lynette. We got that in. Yeah. And feel free to go ahead
I
and
gave
ask
her a
us.
heart because it was.
Oh,
different.
yeah, I've got a heart. There you go. I'm not going to give her a heart. Screw that.
He's heartless.
'Cause
and he
I'm
has
Alright.
no heart to give.
That's right.
Cool.
There you go. I'm heartless.
Okay. I
All
think
right.
it's time to kill the feed here.
All right, guys. Thank
We
you
go.
for joining us.
Gonna
You
shut
can,
it the down.
yep, you
and
guys
we're
can
going
catch
to
us.
be-
You guys can catch us online tomorrow.
Oh yeah, the recording will be up on the 29th somewhere between the hours of meow and meoverary.
Yep.
And yeah, it'll
Cool.
everywhere you get your podcast and YouTube if you like to watch our silly faces.
Via con Dios.